what has been the actual decline of the British Armed Forces. Okay, this is the British Army, the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy. We're going to look at the statistics over the last 25 years and see how much our armed forces has actually shrunk by. I'm Craig, a former British soldier. Let's get into today's video. So, been doing a bit of research. There's quite a few different numbers here, there and everywhere, but they're all very, very similar. To keep it simple at first, we have just got a little spreadsheet. So this one here then, let's have a look at this. Let's make that a bit bigger for you. So starting in the year 2000, the British Army consisted of approximately 109,600 trained soldiers. The Royal Navy and Marines around 42,800 and the Royal Air Force 54,600. And over the years this has slowly declined. They did increase obviously in and around 2001, 2, 3, 4 when Iraq and Afghan was just kicking off just after 9/11. We saw the British Army go up to around 112,000 just over. The Royal Navy, Royal Marines and Air Force stayed very similar. And then after around 2004, it's just been a decline. And from around 2012, when they started making the redundancies, when Afghan was dying down and they were making loads of different cuts, we saw a drastic drop in numbers. So from 2012, the British Army has gone from 103,820 approximately down to approximately 70 to 72,000 trade trained soldiers. What do I mean by trade trained? Okay, so the British Army, compare numbers slightly different to the Royal Navy, Marines and Air Force. Trade trained, so British Army, we're talking soldiers who have gone through phase 1 and phase 2. These are fully deployable soldiers. So they've done their basic training and they've done their trade training and they're now in the regular army. They are fully deployable. And then the Royal Navy just class it as trained soldiers. So these are the guys that have gone through training as well. But we are at approximately, according to numbers, so this is on the government website, key points and trends, quarterly service personnel statistics as of the 1st of January to 2025, updated on the 29th of May 2025. So this isn't too old. 127,040 full-time trained strength, okay, because they word it slightly different for the Navy, Marines and Air Force, and full-time trained strength army, 127,000 across the board. That's full-time. Strength of our UK forces service personnel, 180,000. So compare this from a bit of research. Like I said, numbers may be slightly incorrect, but they should all be very similar. I have had a look around. At the end of the Cold War, as it was dying down, we were at 330,000 personnel within our armed forces. Gone down, gone down, gone up slightly. See the height of Afghan, and then down, 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 up a bit. And it's just a massive decline. And with the uncertainty within the world, it's not really looking the best, is it? We've still got, as of the 1st of January, 12,850 people joined the UK regular armed forces. That is an increase of 2,170, 20% increase compared to the previous 12-month period. But in the same 12-month period, 14,830 people left the UK regular armed forces, a decrease of 1,310, 8% compared with the previous. So we're still in a negative, That is, in a net change, we had roughly, the year before was 4,430, 2,000, was the net change, and we're still roughly seeing that in the previous 12 months. So there has been a decline, and at the height we were seeing when the personnel were at 300 and 200, we were putting roughly 4% of our GDP into defence spending. They've come out and said they're going to do a massive increase in defence spending and increase it to 2,500 personnel. There's not a massive 2.5% GDP. It's not a massive increase, is it? It's a small increase. A massive increase would be to 3.5%, 4%. They're just doing a small increase. But you can see that there still is a decline in personnel, and it's just been a common appearance for the last 25 years. It doesn't help that our targets are extremely low. Once again, the way they word it is trade trained for the British Army and just trained for the Navy, Army, Air Force. But as you can see, in 2015, these were the targets. Okay, so personnel targets, trained and train strength targets for full-time UK Armed Forces and future reserves. Back in 2015, for the Royal Navy and Marines, it was 30,450 personnel full-time, 3,100 reserves. The British Army, the target was 82,000 with 30,100 reserves. Royal Air Force was 31,750 full-time, 1,860 reserves. A target of 144,200 full-time sailors, so airmen, sailors, marines and soldiers, with 35,000 just over in the reserves. 6 years later, in 2021, that target dropped to 134,000 full-time serving personnel in our UK Armed Forces. In 6 years, it dropped by 10,000. It dropped by just under 10%. Absolutely insane how much they've wanted to cut our Armed Forces personnel. They want this future soldier. I understand that we want cyber, we want better technology, we want better kit and equipment, and it's more expensive now, and that's where we're putting a lot of our funding into. But it's the guys on the ground in the air that actually get the job done. You can have all this fancy equipment, body armor, helmets, vehicles, but if you don't have the personnel to move those vehicles, to drive those vehicles, to use those weapon systems, to wear that ballistic body armor, that helmet, those night vision, then you're no good. We are such a small force. And I just wanted to do this video to say, yes, over the last few years, we've seen a massive decline, but this has been going on for a very long time now. A very long time. Once again, let's bring you to this. From 2000, we've gone from 109,000, we've gone up to 112. Now we're down to around 70 to 72,000 serving full-time British soldiers in our British Army. That is the decline we have seen roughly over the last 25 years. I know when you're in sort of a present war state, more people naturally do join. We've come into a post-war, but they made such huge cuts and changed the army so much that, yes, they made those redundancies, but they actually ended up losing so many personnel voluntary just because the army just wasn't what it was before, and there wasn't that incentive for soldiers to stay. But that's where we're currently at. That is the statistics over the last 25 years. We've gone from a highly professional fighting force that you could call yourself an armed forces to more of a highly professional defence force. Yes, we could most probably assist overseas, but we're more a force that can defend ourselves and our island, basically. My personal opinion is we need to increase defence budgets. Yes, we need all this new kit and equipment. I 100% agree with it. Yes, we need to go cyber. Yes, we need to look at space. We need to look at satellites. We definitely need to look at investing more into drones. But we need to increase our personnel. We need to work on retention. Keep the numbers you've got in. Keep the experience you've got in. That money you've spent. And then work on recruitment and get new personnel in, new soldiers, new airmen, new sailors, new marines. Okay, look at your advertising, look at your recruitment, look at your marketing, look at, yes, we've all done it. We've all said it about the state of the younger generation now. A lot of them don't want to fight, but you've got to find a way of appealing to them, because if we keep hemorrhaging numbers, because that's what I'm going to say, 2,000 a year, in 10 years, that's 20,000 negative. So that would mean our numbers would drop drastically over the next 10 years. And obviously we cannot maintain that. You cannot maintain being in a negative. But that's the numbers over the last. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Please do comment below. Please do head over to combatreadyhq.co.uk. Check out our coffee and t-shirts. It really supports the channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon.